Let me share a hard truth with you. Most people don't grow old because of time. They grow old because of the habits they choose every single day. A Harvard study revealed that just 5 daily habits, only 5, can significantly slow down aging. They protect your body, sharpen your mind, and help you stay strong, even into your 80s or 90s. But here's the problem. Over 90% of older adults don't follow them. Many don't even know what they are, and if you've ever thought, "I'm too old to change now," let me tell you, you're not. You're never too old to take back control of your health and your future. In this video, I'll walk you through the 5 golden habits that could transform how you age. And if you find value in this kind of content, where science meets real-life wellness strategies, then consider subscribing to Wellness Unlock. It's our way of helping you, and thousands of others, age with strength, clarity, and purpose. Thank you for being here. Now, let's begin. 1. Fuel your future with every bite. Let me ask you something simple but deeply important. Have you ever stopped to think about how the food you eat today is shaping who you become tomorrow? Not just how you look or feel for a few hours, but how you age, how you recover, how your mind functions, and how resilient your body is over time. Because the truth is, every bite you take is not just about calories or flavor. It is a message, a signal to your body's biology, telling it either to thrive or slowly decline. Many people still believe that aging is simply a matter of time passing, that no matter what we do, we will inevitably weaken and fade. But modern science is painting a very different picture, one that places responsibility squarely in our hands. A picture that shows us how nutrition can literally rewrite the story of our aging process. It is not a fantasy, it is biology, and it starts with what is on your plate. You see, your body is not designed to age into weakness by default. It is designed to adapt. It regenerates, repairs, and strengthens itself continually when given the right raw materials. And those raw materials come from your food. Your body is not built from supplements or medications. It is built from molecules derived from what you eat. That is why nutrition is not just a support system. It is the very foundation of aging well. Now, let us look at what that means on a practical level. In today's modern food landscape, we are surrounded by highly processed convenience foods, loaded with sugars, artificial chemicals, seed oils, and empty calories. These foods offer energy but little else. And worse, they actively contribute to chronic inflammation, hormonal imbalance, and cellular stress, which over time are the real drivers of aging. Inflammation, for example, is a silent but powerful force behind many age-related diseases, including heart disease, type 2 diabetes, arthritis, and even Alzheimer's. When we regularly eat foods that spike blood sugar, disrupt gut health, or overload the liver, we create an environment inside the body that accelerates wear and tear at the cellular level. In simple terms, we age faster from the inside out. That is why the solution is not just about avoiding bad foods, but about actively choosing foods that nourish, protect, and repair the body. Whole foods like leafy greens, cruciferous vegetables, nuts, seeds, legumes, berries, fatty fish, olive oil, and clean sources of protein are packed with vitamins, minerals, fiber, and antioxidants that support cellular health, reduce oxidative stress, and fuel tissue regeneration. These are not superfoods because of marketing. They are superfoods because of what they do inside the body. Let me give you a real story to show what this looks like in practice. Meet Carlos, a retired engineer in his early 60s, who came to me with fatigue, joint pain, prediabetes, and early signs of memory decline. He had spent decades on a typical Western diet, heavy on refined carbs, processed meats, fast food, and sugary drinks. He thought he was just getting older. But what we did together changed everything. Instead of focusing on medications, we focused on transformation. We slowly replaced the processed snacks with whole fruits, swapped the white bread and pastries with sprouted grains, and added a daily serving of fatty fish like salmon. We introduced greens at every meal, and he started his day with a nutrient-rich smoothie that included spinach, chia seeds, berries, and almond milk. Nothing extreme, nothing restrictive, just a consistent shift toward foods that gave his body what it needed. Within 6 months, his energy returned. His blood sugar stabilized. He lost 18 pounds without counting calories. His knee pain decreased dramatically. And perhaps most importantly, his mental clarity improved. He was reading again, solving puzzles, and laughing with his grandkids in a way he had not in years. Carlos did not discover a magic food. He simply stopped starving his cells of what they needed to function. That story is not unique. I have seen it repeated hundreds of times because the science supports it. When you give your body real food, rich in micronutrients, it performs better at every level. That includes how well your immune system defends you, how quickly your skin heals, how strong your bones remain, and how sharp your memory stays. And here is something else people forget. Your gut is home to trillions of microbes, and these gut bacteria influence your immune system, your mood, and even your brain chemistry. A diet rich in diverse plant-based foods helps cultivate a healthy microbiome, which in turn reduces inflammation, improves nutrient absorption, and supports hormone balance. Conversely, a diet high in processed foods damages this internal ecosystem and triggers immune dysfunction. Let us not overlook hydration either. As we age, our sense of thirst diminishes, and many older adults live in a state of chronic mild dehydration. This impairs kidney function, contributes to confusion, worsens constipation, and even increases the risk of falls. Every cell in your body needs water to operate effectively. Hydration is not about drinking only when you are thirsty. It is about making it a habit to support circulation, detoxification, and energy. Another area worth addressing is protein. As we get older, our ability to synthesize protein declines. This means that to maintain muscle mass, strength, and function, we must actually consume more high-quality protein, not less. Yet many older adults reduce their intake, especially if they lose appetite or struggle with chewing. That is a mistake. Sarcopenia, or age-related muscle loss, is one of the leading causes of frailty, falls, and loss of independence in seniors. Aiming for sufficient protein, ideally spread evenly throughout the day, helps prevent that decline. Healthy fats are equally essential, especially for cognitive health. Omega-3 fatty acids, found in fish, flax seeds, and walnuts, help reduce inflammation and protect brain function. Studies show that individuals with higher omega-3 levels have better memory retention and a lower risk of dementia, including Alzheimer's. Yet these fats are often missing in diets that fear all types of fat, without understanding the difference. Let me bring in another story to drive this home. Mrs. Talbot, a 79-year-old former schoolteacher, had been experiencing mood swings, memory slips, and chronic fatigue. Her diet consisted mostly of toast, sugary tea, canned soups, and white rice. When we analyzed her nutrient intake, it was severely lacking in omega-3s, B vitamins, magnesium, and antioxidants, all critical for brain health. We made simple swaps, added avocado to her toast, switched the tea to herbal infusions, included a daily omega-3 supplement, and added brightly colored vegetables to her meals. The changes were slow, but steady. Within 3 months, her mood improved. She smiled more, engaged in conversations, and began attending her local book club again. Her family told me it was like watching her come back to life. Nutrition was the key. It was not about dieting. It was about rebuilding a depleted system. I cannot emphasize this enough. Good nutrition is not about weight loss or restriction. It is about giving your body and brain what they require to operate at full capacity. It is about maintaining your independence, your vitality, and your dignity as you age. Food can be medicine, but only if it is chosen wisely. And we must also talk about sugar. Excessive sugar intake is one of the most harmful aspects of modern diets. High glycemic foods spike blood sugar, increase insulin resistance, damage blood vessels, and promote inflammation. This is not just about diabetes, it is about brain aging too. There is growing evidence that links insulin resistance to Alzheimer's. with some researchers even calling it type 3 diabetes. Stable blood sugar, supported by fiber-rich foods, slow-digesting carbs, and adequate protein, is essential for longevity. Eating well is not a luxury. It is a necessity for anyone who wants to age on their own terms. Every meal is an opportunity to invest in your future health or to withdraw from it. And while there is room for flexibility and enjoyment, the core pattern must be built on respect for your biology. So here is the takeaway. Aging well is not about finding a miracle pill. It is about building your life around habits that reinforce health from the inside out. Food is your most powerful tool or your most silent enemy. You decide which it becomes. Feed your cells with nutrients, and they will build the body and brain you want to live in. Feed them with junk, and you will slowly lose the energy, memory, and strength that make life meaningful. If there is one thing I want you to remember, it is this. Every bite matters. Your fork is one of the most powerful tools you will ever hold in your hands. 2. Stay in motion. Stay in control. Let me ask you something you might never have considered. What if the way you move each day is silently shaping your future? Not just your posture or your strength, but your independence, your ability to walk unassisted, your balance, and even your cognitive clarity. You see, the greatest myth about aging is that physical decline is inevitable. But after more than 20 years working with patients in their 50s, 60s, 70s, and beyond, I can tell you with absolute certainty, it's not time that weakens the body. It's inactivity. The truth is, your body adapts to whatever you demand of it. If you challenge it, even just a little each day, it responds with resilience, coordination, strength, and vitality. But if you neglect it, sit for hours, avoid lifting, stretching, or moving, the body slowly takes that as instruction to shut itself down. Muscles atrophy, joints stiffen, blood flow decreases, and even the brain begins to lose its sharpness. You become not old, but unused. And there's a massive difference between the two. I once had a patient named Harold. He was 67, retired early, and proudly declared, "I've earned the right to rest." For 2 years, he barely left his recliner except for meals and doctor appointments. When he came to see me, he was shocked to learn that his muscle mass had dropped below the clinical threshold for sarcopenia. His balance was dangerously unstable, and he couldn't walk up a flight of stairs without resting. "But I haven't been sick," he insisted. I told him gently, "Harold, your body hasn't been sick, it's been ignored. Movement is not optional, it's essential. And I'm not talking about training like an athlete. I'm talking about the kind of consistent, low-impact, functional movement that helps you stay upright, strong, and in control of your own life. Walking, stretching, climbing stairs, even standing on one leg while brushing your teeth. It all matters. These aren't trivial habits. They are signals to your body that it still has a job to do. What most people don't realize is that even short bursts of movement during the day can yield remarkable health benefits. A brisk 10-minute walk improves circulation and boosts oxygen delivery to the brain. Light strength training, using resistance bands or body weight, helps preserve lean muscle tissue and keeps metabolism from slowing. Gentle balance exercises, things as simple as rising from a chair without using your hands, help reduce the risk of falling, which remains one of the leading causes of injury-related death among seniors. But let's talk about something deeper. Movement doesn't just strengthen the body, it sharpens the brain. In fact, regular exercise is one of the most powerful ways to prevent cognitive decline. Studies show that consistent movement increases levels of brain-derived neurotrophic factor, a protein that promotes the growth of new neurons and protects existing ones. In simpler terms, exercise helps the brain stay young. It enhances memory, decision-making, focus, and emotional regulation. There's a patient I'll never forget. Her name was Janelle. She came to me at 74, mentally sharp but physically fragile. Her greatest fear wasn't death, it was losing her independence. So we built a simple program: 20 minutes of walking in the morning, resistance training with light dumbbells twice a week, and balance practice using yoga poses every evening. It was difficult at first. She doubted herself. But by her next annual exam, she had gained muscle, improved her posture, and could walk a mile without stopping. More importantly, she told me, I feel like myself again. Her transformation wasn't just physical, it was psychological. When people move regularly, they reclaim a sense of agency. They begin to trust their bodies again. They feel grounded, capable, and confident. That emotional shift changes everything. It improves sleep, lowers stress, and boosts resilience in the face of life's inevitable challenges. And here's the part that often gets overlooked. Movement prevents illness. It improves insulin sensitivity, regulates blood pressure, reduces inflammation, and enhances immune function. People who engage in regular physical activity are less likely to develop chronic conditions like type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, osteoporosis, and certain cancers. The research is clear. Exercise is the closest thing we have to a fountain of youth, and it's free. But let me be clear. You don't need to run marathons or hit the gym 5 days a week. For many of my older patients, that's neither practical nor necessary. What matters most is frequency, consistency, and variety. Movement should be integrated into daily life. Take the stairs, walk to the store, garden, dance in your living room, play with your grandchildren. Do anything that reminds your body it's alive and useful. You also need to listen to your body, not to your excuses. One of the most common lines I hear is, "I'm too old to exercise." Let me tell you about Leo, who started resistance training with me at 91. We used resistance bands and chair-based exercises. He couldn't do a push-up, but he could press a light band and squeeze a small ball. Within 3 months, his grip strength improved, he walked more steadily, and his hand tremors lessened. At his 92nd birthday, he stood up from his chair without help and said, "I feel younger than I did at 80. Stories like Leo's are not rare. They're reminders that the body never fully loses its ability to adapt. But the window narrows with time. The longer you wait, the harder it becomes. The sooner you begin, the greater your return. There's another reason movement matters: mood. Physical activity increases endorphins, balances neurotransmitters, and decreases symptoms of depression and anxiety. Older adults who stay active report better overall mood, less loneliness, and more satisfaction with life. Movement isn't just a health tool, it's a happiness habit. Now let's talk about what happens when movement stops. Within days of bed rest, muscle mass starts to decrease. Within weeks, balance declines and cardiovascular capacity diminishes. Within months, metabolic health worsens, and blood sugar control becomes more erratic. The brain becomes sluggish, sleep quality drops, and motivation plummets. And yet, many older adults gradually fall into this trap without realizing it. That's why I teach a principle I call minimum movement medicine. It means doing just enough each day to remind your muscles, joints, and brain that they have a role to play. You don't have to be perfect, you just have to show up. Every stretch counts. Every walk around the block counts. Every time you choose movement over stillness, you are making a deposit into your future independence. I'm not here to sell you a program or a workout routine. I'm here to remind you that movement is not about aesthetics. It's about autonomy. It's about preserving the freedom to go where you want, when you want, without needing assistance. That kind of freedom doesn't happen by accident. It's earned, one step at a time. So if you're wondering where to start, here's the simplest plan I give my patients. Walk for 20 minutes a day, do bodyweight squats or stand up from a chair 10 times in a row. Stretch your arms overhead, balance on one foot for 10 seconds, take deep breaths while you do it. These are not workouts, they are acts of self-preservation. Because here's the truth no one tells you. Aging doesn't steal your strength overnight. It steals it slowly when you stop using it. But the great news is, you can reverse that process. You can regain what you've lost, and you can hold on to what you have if you commit to moving. So my message to you is this: do not retire from taking care of your body. Do not accept weakness as your default state. You are not too old, too stiff, or too broken to begin again. The body you want at 80 starts with the choices you make at 60. The freedom you want tomorrow depends on the movement you choose today. You may not be able to control time, but you can control what you do with it. And every time you choose to move, stretch, breathe, or lift, even just a little, you are telling your body, I'm still here, and I still have a life to live. Three, let rest become your strongest healer. You may think you're doing everything right, but what if your biggest health breakthrough happens when you're asleep? What if the single most powerful tool for healing, for staying young, for protecting your brain and immune system, was not a drug or a superfood, but simply sleep? Not just any sleep, but deep, high-quality, consistent sleep. You see, in my years of clinical practice, I've seen people pour their energy into diets, supplements, and fitness routines, but ignore the one pillar that quietly governs every system in their body. And when that pillar crumbles, nothing else holds up for long. We live in a culture that celebrates hustle, where burning the candle at both ends is praised as ambition. But inside the human body, that hustle comes at a heavy cost. Sleep is not wasted time, it is not laziness, and it is not optional. Sleep is when your body heals, when your brain resets, when your hormones balance, and when your cells regenerate. Without enough of it, or without the right kind, you are living in a body that is slowly breaking down, whether you feel it yet or not. Now here's the part most people don't realize. Poor sleep doesn't just leave you tired. It accelerates aging at the cellular level. When you sleep, your brain flushes out toxins that accumulate during the day, byproducts of thought, stress, and cellular activity. If those toxins aren't cleared, they build up over time, damaging neural connections and increasing your risk of memory loss and neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's. And this isn't theory, it's science. MRI scans show that people who consistently sleep less than 6 hours a night have thinner brain tissue in regions responsible for attention, decision-making, and memory. In short, sleep debt compounds faster than credit card interest, and it doesn't stop with the brain. Sleep is when growth hormone is released, when your immune system ramps up to fight infection, when insulin sensitivity is restored, and when cortisol levels, the stress hormone, drop. Miss that window regularly, and you don't just feel groggy, you increase your risk of type 2 diabetes, obesity, hypertension, cardiovascular disease, and yes, premature death. But the damage isn't always visible right away. Sometimes it shows up subtly. You find yourself forgetting names more often. You lose your temper at things that never used to bother you. Your cravings intensify. Your workouts feel harder. Your skin begins to lose its glow. You write it off as stress or age, but often it's just your body begging for rest it never received. I want you to picture something. Imagine your brain as a massive office that works 24 hours a day. During the day, the employees are answering emails, solving problems, handling meetings. But at night, the janitorial staff comes in. They clean up the waste, reorganize the files, and make space for tomorrow. Now imagine if you sent the cleaning crew home early. Every night, the office would become cluttered, chaotic, and eventually non-functional. That's your brain on poor sleep. Let me share something personal here. Early in my career, I wore sleep deprivation like a badge of honor. I was working long hours, juggling research and patient care, and convincing myself that 5 hours of sleep was efficient. At first, I didn't notice anything wrong, but slowly, things began to slip. I forgot a patient's name during rounds. I lost focus halfway through consultations. My mood was flat. I stopped laughing. My skin aged almost overnight. I didn't connect the dots until one day I found myself standing in front of a patient, mid-sentence, and completely blanked. That scared me. That humbled me. So I did what I now ask my patients to do. I made sleep a priority, not an afterthought. I began winding down at the same time every night. I shut off screens an hour before bed. I reduced caffeine after noon. I made my room dark and cool. I started treating sleep like medicine, and it changed everything. My energy returned. My clarity returned. My mood lifted. Even my memory came back sharper than before. I wasn't just more productive, I was more human again. Now I tell people this. You can eat all the kale in the world and do yoga every morning, but if you're sleeping 4 hours a night with your phone glowing in your face, you're aging yourself from the inside out. You're stealing time from your own future. And you may not feel the damage now, but you will eventually. Good sleep isn't just about duration, it's about depth and rhythm. Your brain needs to cycle through the different stages of sleep: light, deep, and REM. Each has its own function. Deep sleep repairs muscles and bones. REM sleep processes emotions and consolidates memory. Disrupting these stages through blue light, alcohol, stress, or irregular schedules short-circuits the entire system. So even if you think you're sleeping 8 hours, poor quality sleep means your body isn't doing the work it needs to do during that time. The good news is, the body remembers how to heal when you give it the chance. I've seen patients in their 70s and 80s reverse brain fog and stabilize blood sugar just by improving their sleep. It's never too late. The most effective changes are often the simplest. Keep your bedroom cool and dark. Avoid screens before bed. Set a consistent bedtime and wake-up time, even on weekends. Stop caffeine after lunch. Use soft, indirect lighting in the evening. Read something light. Breathe deeply. Let your body know. It's time to let go. There's a sacredness to sleep that we've forgotten in modern life. We traded it for productivity, for entertainment, for stimulation, but the body hasn't evolved to match that pace. It still needs quiet. It still needs recovery. It still needs darkness and rhythm. When we restore sleep, we don't just feel better. We function better, think better, and live longer. So my message to you is this. Don't sacrifice sleep in pursuit of life. Sleep is life. It is the repair shop, the therapist, the hormone regulator, the immune booster, and the anti-aging mechanism built into your biology. You don't need to hack your body. You just need to respect it. If you care about aging well, about staying sharp, strong, and stable as the years go on, then sleep is not optional. It is your foundation. Without it, everything else begins to crack. But with it, you can build anything, because your brain and body will be there to support you. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to start protecting your nights. Because those quiet hours of stillness, that's when your body writes the story of how you'll live tomorrow. 4. Train your brain to stay young. What if staying sharp isn't about luck or genetics, but about training your brain like a muscle? What happens to your identity when your memory starts to fade? Who are you without your stories, without your ability to focus, to solve problems, to think clearly? For many people, aging is feared not because of wrinkles or gray hair, but because of the possibility of losing the very thing that makes them who they are, their mind. In my years of clinical work, I've seen patients face many challenges, but the one that terrifies people most is cognitive decline. Losing your strength is frustrating, but losing your ability to think, to remember, to connect with others, that strikes at the core of our humanity. The good news is, it's not inevitable. Just like the muscles in your body, the brain responds to stimulation, to effort, and to challenge. The bad news is, if you neglect it, it begins to deteriorate faster than you might think. The brain thrives on engagement. It grows through curiosity. It sharpens through effort. Yet, many people, after retirement or once their children leave home, stop giving their minds new challenges. They settle into passive routines, watching television, repeating the same conversations, avoiding anything that feels like mental effort. That's not aging. That's intellectual starvation. Here's something that might surprise you. According to a 2020 study published in the journal Neurology, individuals with higher levels of cognitive activity throughout life had a 48% lower risk of developing Alzheimer's disease. Let me say that again. Nearly half the risk, cut in half, just by staying mentally active. That's not a miracle, it's a choice, and it's backed by science. Another study from Harvard found that adults who engaged in regular intellectual activities, reading, writing, doing puzzles, learning new skills, scored significantly higher on memory tests and maintained stronger executive function even into their 80s. This isn't just about preventing disease, it's about maintaining the ability to live life fully, to make decisions, to enjoy conversations, to feel confident even as the years go by. But let me be clear. Mental engagement doesn't mean going back to school or reading complex academic books. It means staying curious. It means trying new things. It means challenging yourself in small but meaningful ways. Learn a language. Pick up a musical instrument. Try a new board game. Write a journal. Practice mental math. Engage in conversations that stretch your thinking. Your brain is not fragile. It is hungry. Feed it. And don't forget the emotional side of mental strength. Chronic stress, unresolved grief, anxiety, and depression all accelerate cognitive aging. Cortisol, the stress hormone, when elevated over long periods, literally shrinks parts of the brain responsible for memory and learning. People often assume emotional health is separate from brain health, but they are deeply intertwined. Let me share a finding that still shocks many of my patients. A study published in The Lancet showed that untreated depression in midlife can increase the risk of dementia later by nearly 80%. 80%. That's not a small detail. That's a wake-up call. Emotional discipline isn't just about feeling good. It's about protecting the brain you'll depend on for decades to come. Now, what can you actually do, starting today? First, protect your mental space like you protect your physical health. Don't let your mind go on autopilot. Read more. Watch less. Ask questions. Be a student of life. Second, manage stress actively. Meditate. Practice deep breathing. Seek support when needed. Third, stay socially connected. Conversations are not just social, they're neurological workouts. They involve memory, language, empathy, and processing speed, all in real time. I've had patients in their late 70s who picked up chess, learned digital photography, or started writing their memoirs, and in doing so, kept their minds sharp and their spirits high. What they all had in common wasn't talent or education, but a willingness to stay mentally alive, and it showed. They made jokes faster. They remembered names. They had presence. And don't underestimate the power of community. Isolation is a form of mental malnutrition. Loneliness can dull thinking, slow reaction times, and shrink ambition. Stay engaged. Find people who challenge you, who make you think, who make you feel seen. Join book clubs. Volunteer. Debate. Mentor someone younger. The brain lights up when it feels needed. So here's the truth. Cognitive decline is not an unavoidable part of aging. It is often the result of years of underuse, stress overload, and emotional neglect. But it is not permanent. The brain can change. It can grow. It can rebuild. You just have to give it a reason to. If you want to age with clarity, confidence, and curiosity, don't wait. Begin today. Stimulate your brain the way you would train a muscle. Challenge it. Rest it. Nourish it. Respect it. Because your future depends not just on your heart or your bones, but on your ability to think, to feel, and to connect. And that, my friend, is worth protecting. 5. Connection is medicine for the soul. What's the point of living longer? If you're living it alone, what does it really mean to be alive? Is it enough for your heart to be beating if no one is listening to it? I've met patients with perfect lab results, clean scans, strong hearts, but when I looked into their eyes, there was a quiet, unmistakable sadness. They were alive, but not connected. They were breathing, but not belonging. And the truth is, that silent loneliness is one of the most underestimated threats to health in old age. We are not built to exist in isolation. Human beings are biologically and emotionally wired for connection. From infancy to old age, we thrive when we are seen, heard and held, emotionally and socially. And when that connection fades, when our world becomes too quiet, too small, too empty, the body and mind begin to shut down in ways that are both invisible and irreversible. Here's a number that should stop you cold. Studies have shown that chronic loneliness increases the risk of early death by as much as 45%. That's on par with smoking 15 cigarettes a day. Let me say that again. Being socially isolated can be as deadly as a pack-a-day smoking habit. This isn't just about feeling sad. It's about your immune system weakening, your inflammation rising, your cognitive function declining. When you are disconnected, your body senses it as danger. It interprets social isolation as a survival threat, and it responds with stress, hormonal imbalance, and biological wear and tear. But you don't see it the way you see high blood pressure or weight gain. You might notice that you've stopped laughing as much, that you have no one to call when something wonderful or something terrible happens, that your days feel long but your weeks feel empty. And then, slowly, without warning, you begin to feel invisible, not just to others, but to yourself. I remember a patient who once told me, "I don't need medicine, I need someone to remember my name." And he wasn't being dramatic. He was right. I've seen patients stabilize their blood pressure, regain appetite, and recover from depression not through new prescriptions, but through new friendships, new reasons to wake up in the morning, new conversations that reminded them they were still part of this world. Social connection is not a luxury. It is a form of medicine. It improves sleep, reduces anxiety, strengthens immune function, and most importantly, protects the brain. Conversations light up neural circuits. Laughter releases endorphins. Hugs reduce cortisol. Eye contact regulates heart rate. These aren't sentimental ideas. They are measurable physiological responses. And here's what I want you to understand. You don't have to be surrounded by crowds. You don't need 100 friends or a calendar full of events. What matters is the presence of meaningful relationships. People who care if you're okay, people you can call when you're afraid, people who miss you when you're gone. That kind of connection doesn't just heal your heart, it keeps it beating. But staying connected takes effort, especially as we age. Social circles shrink. Friends move away. Families get busy. Habits become solitary. That's why you must choose connection with the same urgency you choose food, water, or sleep. Reach out, ask questions, join a group, share something vulnerable. Be the first to say hello, because someone out there needs you too. Let me paint a picture for you. Two people, both 82 years old. One lives alone, watches TV for hours, speaks to no one most days, eats in silence. The other meets friends twice a week, video calls her grandson, and volunteers at a library. Same age, same body, but only one of them is truly alive. You tell me, which one do you want to be? Connection doesn't just extend your life. It gives it meaning. It gives it color. It makes you laugh, cry, remember, and dream. And those emotions, they keep your brain engaged, your heart soft, and your spirit awake. So if you're growing older, don't just invest in your diet or your steps. Invest in your relationships. Reconnect with someone you miss. Make a new friend. Say yes to invitations. Talk to the cashier. Compliment a stranger. Call someone just to say, "I was thinking of you." Those small acts, they matter more than any supplement, more than any exercise plan, more than any pill you'll ever be offered. Because in the end, the people who age with joy, with light in their eyes and laughter in their voice, are not the ones with the best genes or the most money. They are the ones who never stopped connecting. They are the ones who knew that love, in all its forms, is what keeps us truly alive. Let's take a step back and remember what we've discovered together. Aging doesn't have to mean fading. It can mean refining, deepening, strengthening. But only when you choose it consciously, day after day. There are no shortcuts, no magic pills, just habits that compound, quietly, powerfully, over time. It all begins with what you put on your plate. Every bite you take sends a message to your body. When you choose nutrient-rich foods, lean proteins, healthy fats, colorful vegetables, You give your cells the tools they need to regenerate and thrive. Good nutrition protects your brain, supports your heart, balances your hormones, and fuels your immune system. It's not about restriction, it's about respect. For your biology, for your future, for the life you still want to live. Then we looked at movement, not just exercise, but the daily act of reminding your body that it still has a purpose. Moving keeps your muscles strong, your joints flexible, your circulation flowing. It keeps your brain sharp, your mood balanced, and your independence intact. You don't have to train like an athlete. You just have to show up, walk, stretch, breathe, challenge yourself just enough to keep the fire alive. Next came sleep, the most underestimated healer of all. While the world sleeps, your body repairs. Your brain clears out toxins. Your immune system regenerates. Your hormones reset. Without deep, consistent sleep, every other system suffers. It's not about being lazy. It's about honoring the biological rhythm that keeps you alive and well. Prioritizing sleep is prioritizing every part of yourself. Then, we explored the power of the mind. Staying mentally sharp is not about avoiding decline. It's about continuing to grow. Learning, questioning, solving problems. These keep your brain flexible and resilient. But it's not just mental work. Emotional regulation matters too. Chronic stress, anxiety, and isolation wear down your cognition faster than you realize. Feeding your curiosity and managing your emotions are two sides of the same coin. They both protect your clarity and confidence for years to come. Finally, we talked about connection, the often invisible thread that holds your health together. Loneliness doesn't just feel bad. It's biologically destructive. Meaningful social relationships reduce stress, protect the brain, and extend life. Staying connected isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. Even one genuine relationship can transform how you age. And the beautiful thing? It's never too late to reach out, to rebuild, to reconnect. These 5 habits, nourishing your body, moving daily, sleeping deeply, challenging your mind, and staying connected, are not fancy trends or passing fads. They are the foundation. They are your tools to age with power, with grace, with purpose. And maybe more than anything else, what they offer is this: choice. The choice not to surrender to decline. The choice to take responsibility. The choice to build a life that doesn't just continue, but one that expands, deepens, and still holds beauty. You don't need to change everything overnight. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to begin. Small steps, done with intention, will always beat big promises made in desperation. Start where you are. Use what you have. And trust that your body and mind are far more adaptable, far more forgiving than you think. Aging is not something to fear. It's something to master. And now, as we reach the end of this journey together, I just want to say, thank you. Thank you for taking the time to invest in yourself, for caring enough to learn, to reflect, and maybe even to begin again. If this video gave you something to think about, something to feel, or something to act on, I hope you'll consider subscribing to this channel, Wellness Unlock. It's where we'll keep sharing science-backed tools, stories, and strategies to help you live stronger, longer, and better. So stay curious, stay connected, stay committed to your health. And remember, you're not just aging, you're evolving.